Hi, first I'd like to welcome Mary Jo Harris to present the current status of the NPP program.
Oh, thank you for having me this evening. Did you all get a copy of the plan? You should have had it. Did you all do your homework and read it?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Makes my job a lot easier. I did give you tonight, hot off the press, a letter from the state of New Jersey, from the Department of Community Affairs, that the NPP, your NPP plan as written has been approved by the state, so they kind of say, this is the plan, as long as everybody's happy, this is what we're going with, they're very happy with it. The other thing is, this NPP plan, I think I might have mentioned it to you last time, maybe I just mentioned it to the mayor on Friday. This NPP plan as written is now going to be a state model in the state of New Jersey. They liked it that much. So it will be, whenever they're sending something out for NPP, this is the model they will be using, so.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's great. Our partners at NJCC did an amazing job, but, you know, it just goes to all the really wonderful things that are happening here in Phillipsburg, from all the plans that you have written, because everything that we could think about Phillipsburg, as you can tell, went into this plan. So, you know, kudos to everybody who's been working for the past couple of years on anything that's going on in Phillipsburg. So what I gave to you prior to today is actually everything that is before page 38 in the plan that you got, I'm assuming Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So I don't know if this is easier for me to go over some of this, and maybe just the budget, or if you have specific questions, what would you prefer?
I think start by going over the budget. Do you agree? Yes, sir. Is everybody okay with that?
Okay. So just to kind of give you a little bit of background of how the budget was put together. So I'm going to call your attention, and we don't have to go. We're not going to go through every single page. But I'll just give you an example, and then we'll go right to the budget. So on page 38, where it talks about implementation plans and priorities. So if you'll notice that every single strategy we have detailed what's going to be done and what money is going to be spent towards each project. So if, just for example, if you want to look at number 1 where it says South Main Street, District 1, Year 1 Implementation Plan, number 1, District Branding, Signage, and Banners, Place Value. So for every single strategy that is numbered, everything will go to what the budget is. There's an overview of what will happen, and then there's a timeline of how it will take place. If you look under proposed budget, again, just for an example, for $32,000, that's the total for that one line item. $20,500 will come from the state, meaning the state part of that $100,000. $20,500 is what the state will support. $5,000 is your obligation as a municipality. When I met with the mayor, there was some confusion as to your municipal obligation every year is 20% of what the state gives you. So the state's giving you $100,000, your obligation is going to be $20,000. And that doesn't mean that you have to find $20,000, you don't have to add it to the budget. It means, are there things that would maybe already being done in that area? So the NPP is a target area. So if there's something that specifically speaks to the NPP plan that is going to be done, putting signs up, putting banners up, having the engineer look at something because we need engineers' expertise on doing implementation, that would be considered cash match because it's something that you would already be paying your DPW or your engineer to do something for you, so that can be considered as cash match. Or it can be actual dollars that you have in the budget that can be spent towards something. The next thing would be any kind of in-kind support. So this first thing that's listed, the $7,000 in-kind support from Norwest Cap and other partners. Is there something that we did part of this project? Now, a lot of grants that I work on kind of overlap in that target area. So I'm already working on things that had nothing to do with the NPP, but now it does because it's a similar strategy. So if I'm working on it under another grant that we have, that would be considered in kind, because I'm already being paid for it with something else. It would also be, Corey Sullivan had made a wonderful presentation to you about putting up the veterans banners. So anything that he does that you do not cover under the NPP would be considered in kind. So for instance, maybe $7,000 is the cost of those banners. It's not coming out of your pocket, it's not coming out of NPP, it's what's considered in kind. So that has been laid out for every single strategy that's here. Okay? Any questions so far about what that looks like? Good? Okay. So then let's move to the actual budget, because I think that's probably what you're probably more interested in, right? Where this money's going. So if you look at page 43, where you see 0 planning process, that has already been done. That's all the work that we did to prepare for this plan. This was money that, it's $25,000 that the state gave you for part of an 18-month plan. While the MPP is only 1 year, in the beginning it's 18 months because 6 months is considered a planning, and then your 1 year's implementation. So from July 1st, when this money was actually available to you, till December 31st of this year, that would have been your planning, your 6 months of planning. We kind of did it since, I think the first meeting we had with MPP was in October, so we actually did about 2 months worth of work should have and could have been done in 6 months. So that is the fee. So $12,500 goes to our partner NGCC, who helped us write and develop this plan. We have already paid them, so part of that $25,000 will go to reimburse us because we already paid them. $2,500 was the incidentals, which is allowable under the MPP. So every focus group, every meeting, I fed everybody, and we also gave gift cards as an incentive for taking some surveys and focus. You'll have all of those receipts, and then $10,000 is administration fee for NorWestCat. So that takes care of that. Every other item under here, again, if you look at the first column, that's the item that the money will be spent and is allocated for. Column number 2 is NPP. This is what the state is going to pay for. The third column is match. That's your town obligation. And then the fourth one is the in-kind that I talked about. If you look down the list, and you look under number 2, improve the look, feel, and function of public spaces. If you look at parking, pedestrian, cycle, and structure, that is something that we wrote in that the MPP money won't be used for. It's your obligation, and you'll see that's actually earmarked in here for lining the parking in your downtown area, because right now there's no lines for parking spaces. And there's a number of reasons why it's important to do that, but that's all in the plan. The other piece that we didn't allocate money for NPP money, where it would come from the town, is under the trail network markers and build-out. You'll have in your PAL building down at Delaware River park signs. We have about, I don't know, 8, 10 of them, I guess. And so we said, you know what, why buy? And part of it is designating where your trails are and where some parks and things are, and even designating where some historical sites are. So you already have these signs down there. They're like your regular, like national park signs. They're beautiful signs. So we didn't put anything in. Well, what are you rolling your eyes at that?
I'm not rolling. I'm looking, going. Haven't seen them.
We'll make them prettier. But just that's giving you an example of what we did not allocate any funds for that just the town would pay. Any questions about, and this is just year 1. This is only year 1. Your grant can and will go to 5 years because you're not guaranteed 5 years of funding.
What is public art installations?
Public art installation could be murals. It could be some type of sign that was put up that's a piece of art, or even statues, artwork. It can be if you paint the crosswalks in like a mural type of crosswalk instead of just signs. And I think in the first plan that I gave you, I may have passed it, that's what's called a punch list that the state said, here are some of the things that you can do with the money. So art installation is what it means, anything that has to do with art. And those things would be, we'll RFP them out to local artists, and a committee will decide on, you know, what is that we put around town, not just, oh, we're going to buy something, put it up.
It'll come before council first?
It'll come before the team that's put together. From my understanding, you would be approving any bills that come through. And this is up to the mayor. I mean, that's his decision how he wants this process to work. You know, we're fine with whatever that process looks like, but that's really up to the mayor what his process looks like.
I probably would like the council to, you know, have a final say on the way the money's spent. That would be the transparent way to be. I hope he's agree.
Yeah.
No problem with that. I just want to make sure that before we paint anything, number one, we own it.
Yeah. So I'll just caution you on, and I think it should be, people have a say. Now, you can also be on what's called the MPP team, because that was the MPP team for this. But I have to also convene stakeholders larger than the MPP team and put a group of people together that will have input on this. And it will be local artists, and it will be, other people, other stakeholders in the community. So there's one of two ways you can do this. You can have someone, 2 people, 3 people on council be a part of that to speed up the process, because I will tell you, the state is very serious when they tell us that they want to see something being done. 75% of this money they want spent by June the 30th. It's not mandated, but it's strongly suggested to us that this money, so they want to see something happening. If everything has to come before council, it will slow down the process. So I'm not saying don't do it, but just keep that in mind, okay?
I did have one other question. Something to consider, and I don't think we talked about it when we talked about the striping, but we have a parking lot right in this MPP area. As part of the neighborhood process, it happens to be the one on Sickgrave Street, which is right behind coming down the hill from Mariana's. If we could get that striped while we're doing the striping, that would be wonderful, because it's been on the bucket list for quite a while. It hasn't been done, it needs to be done. So somehow if we could include that striping in that parking lot, I think that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, basically the sky's the limit. It's what can you afford? Because you can afford to do what $80,000 will give you, because 20% of that is admin, but whatever $80,000 will give you, but don't just look at, I only can spend $80,000. Look at leveraging other money that you have. Money that you possibly have been thinking about doing things but haven't done it yet. You can, because part of the reporting on a monthly basis and quarterly basis, we have to report to the MPP what was done. Was it private, public money? Was it in kind? Was it cash match? That's a process that they want to see. So don't think it's just we only have this money. It's, this is nice to have. This is not the only money you should be thinking about putting towards something. So for instance, striping that, you're going to have the engineer for that process. And how much does he cost? He costs.
Something we can work out with the DPW.
Yeah, so yeah. So you have to keep all those things in mind, that while there's a price tag, let's say $8,000, the project costs you $12,000, you're just going to say, can't do it. No, let's find a way to find that other $4,000. What else can we leverage for that $4,000 to make that happen? Okay?
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions about your work? Then if you go to, and I apologize for the size of the chart, it is actually on page 47. It's not numbered, but it's right after 46. So what we had to do for the state is we had to tell them what we would be spending for years 2 through 5. Did it get cut off?
I'm not going to try to read it.
It's only that big.
Oh boy, yeah, okay. So where we still have the allocations the same as we did for year 1 under NPP, because there's really no way of us saying how much we're going to need in each one of those line items for the Sorry.
It's okay, I'm just trying to read it.
I know. Sorry. If you want, if you have a digital copy, if you can just give you the...
Yeah, I'll wait for that.
I can blow it up.
Thanks, Rick.
I'm starting to laugh. But the important part about this is the numbers have not changed. They can't change because we really don't know what the allocation is going to be for all of those line items. But we had to put it in there. We had to let the state know that this is, going forward, this is how we'll be spending money. The other thing is, even though your grant is for $100,000, you are not limited to $100,000. So once year 1 is finished, and we're going to, July 1st, we're going to start looking at what do we want to do 2021, you can ask for $200,000. It's whatever your project needs. And if we write a good plan, because we're going to have to submit another plan, not as extensive as this, but we're going to have to justify why we're asking for that additional money. And if we can show that we are doing what we said we're going to do and then some, and that their municipal obligation and leveraging of other funds, that tells MPP they are very serious about this. And the fact that they use us as a model, they're going to be looking at our next one to say, wow, I can't wait to see what year 2 brings. And then, of course, your municipal obligation, whatever you are granted, if they give you $180,000, your municipal obligation is $20,000. So your cash match will always be 20%. If I say $20,000, it will always be 20% of the granted fund. Okay? So that's all I have. Do you have any questions? I like that silence, because that tells me.
Quite a bit here.
So what we would be looking for you to do next Tuesday is to adopt this so that we can let them know, and as soon as that happens, we've already started where you see the timeline, we've already started doing what we need to
Is there a
do.
model resolution the state wants us to use, or just, we can just?
I could get one from them.
I don't have a problem drafting it.
Yeah, I
Verbiage in that they want.
I don't think so, but I can certainly ask them.
Is that Jeff?
Yes, yeah. Then one last thing I just want to call your attention to. We do have to amend the original resolution because it was my oversight. In here it says not to exceed $55,000 to Norwest Cap, it's actually $45,000. Excuse me. And then meeting with the mayor and the CFO, that verbiage, I don't know that that would remain because this says that you're going to give us the total grant, but the state does not release funds until you spend it. So Norwest Cap certainly doesn't want to be invoicing you for $10,000 because we don't want to spend $10,000 and then ask for reimbursement. We'd rather just have all of the vendor, anything to do with vendors, it would come right to you. I would get a copy of the invoices so I can keep track of everything, but the invoice would come to you to pay them directly, nothing would come through Norwest Cap, where that's considered. I am going to check with actually the person who wrote the MPT for the state, just to ask what is best practice, because they do this for other towns. So did other towns say, no, pay us $125,000 up front, and then we'll send you all the documentation, or do you want to do it where it's on a reimbursement? So I will check with them to see what best practice would be for that. I think that's it.
I think our mayor has a few questions.
I just one question, Mary Jo. When you talked about the statute versus, the other situation, what can be, what kind of statute are you talking about? Like whatever would fit that area, that kind of thing? Like we have Christopher Columbus downtown, but I know that one's would be more than, that something.
I don't know, it's really, this needs to be decided. So number one, and the first thing that you have for number one is district branding. Like this is perfect when you talk about district branding. Town of Phillipsburg, New Jersey, a riverfront destination. If this is your district branding, which I think it is, this should be everywhere on everything, and it should be known as, so that when people are even driving, when there's a sign out on Route 78 that says Phillipsburg, and or even you have a sign on Route 78, and they say, that's Phillipsburg.
Gotcha.
A riverfront destination. So it's really what the team will come up with and what it's agreeable to. And we're going to listen to those surveys, because don't forget, we surveyed over 345 residents. And in those surveys, there was a look that was overwhelmingly, 80% said they liked this look of the town. So it's, it's kind of listening to your constituents as well. Any questions?
Can we put a statue of Vice President McVeigh coming off of Memorial Parkway
No comment.
towards Parkway? Thank you. Try.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Seen before.